Um, Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, December 9th, 2021. My name is Melissa Andre. I'm the Executive Director of the Tax Review Board. Please be aware that this is a public meeting and it is being recorded. Because the meeting is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. By continuing to be in this meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. At this point, I'd like to give the floor to our chair, Nancy Kamerdiener, and acknowledge Paula Weiss and George Matthews as the other tax review board members. Nancy?
Okay, great. Thank you. Good afternoon. The tax review board hearings for December 9th, 2021 will come to order. The first thing I'm going to identify is that we had a continuance request for item number 3 on our agenda, Kennedy Boulevard Associates, last 4 digits of the docket 9471. That was approved prior to today's meeting date. Docket number 5, last 4 digits of the docket 8787, Annette Wilcox. We have a continuance request that came in late. And so the board has had some preliminary discussion about this, but we would turn to the attorney from the city to see if you have anything to add or any information on this case that we should consider before actually making a decision. And please identify yourself for the record when you come on.
Good afternoon, Sam Scabuzzo from the City of Philadelphia Law Department. So I would like to look, the city was going to oppose the interest and penalty request. Looking at the docket, it looks like on September 28th, 2021, there was a hearing scheduled, which appears to be at the Tax Review Board if the docket number is 8787, as Madam Chair just said. So the city would, since this has already been continued, and the Executive Director of the Tax Review Board can correct me if I'm incorrect, if this has not previously been continued, the city would request that the request for a continuance be denied.
Okay. Does the Executive Director have anything to add before the board goes through its review on this?
Just that the request was sent in on December 6th, which is Monday, and the board did not have an opportunity to act on it on Tuesday. And the record is very clear. There has been many continuances on this particular matter. So, I leave it to the board. However, it's obviously
okay. The board has had some preliminary discussions on this, and I will call on my colleagues to add anything that I don't include here. We have reviewed the fact that this has been continued many times before, but we're considering one final continuance with a date certain for a hearing, and if that wasn't adhered to, that it would be denied for no further continuances or rehearings. If my colleagues could chime in terms of whether or not you still want to go in that direction, or if you want to deny it at this point for no further hearings.
I will concur with one final continuance, no further hearings, no continuances will be entertained in this matter, and a date certain in February to move ahead.
Okay.
Me to the final hearing, and there shouldn't be any other continuance.
Okay.
Should be fine.
And I would concur as well. So that means that on this one, we will indeed provide one more continuance for a date certain that will be established in February, which is the month we're finalizing hearings for, and that there would be no further continuances or rehearings after that date if in fact there is even if there is no hearing on that date.
The date certain has already been established as February 3rd of 2022. A notice will go out, and we'll even put that date on the decision to continue this matter on the new notice. We will be very clear to know that it will be no further continuances and that no rehearings as well.
Very good, thank you. And I understand that the petitioner for, is it item number 4, is in the offices. So we'll turn to that one next. That would be Tillman, McAngelo Tillman, last four digits of the docket 4897. We'll give them just a moment to get into the hearing room and be ready for presentation.
You can't hear me. Nancy, can you read the docket number again? This is Mr. Tillman.
Surely. The docket number ends in 4897, and the property address that we have is 5901 Lansdowne Avenue. Is that correct for you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, please identify yourself for the record.
McAngelo Tillman.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Who has this matter for the city?
Afternoon, Mr. Tillman, Sam Scavuzzo for the City of Philadelphia Law Department.
Okay, and do you have anyone with you who needs to be identified and sworn in?
Your Honor, the city had, or Madam Chair, the city has Margie Dillon from the Philadelphia Department of Revenue.
Okay, please identify yourself for the record.
Margaret Dillon, City Audit Department.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do.
Okay, and do you have numbers to read into the record for us here?
Yes, ma'am. We have 1987 through 2020. Principal, $23,297.57. Interest, $31,302. Penalty, $2,095.95. Legal fees and liens, $6,887.91, totaling $64,443.02.
Okay, thank you. Does the city have any opening comments before we turn to the petitioner?
Yes, Madam Chair. So this is an account that previously that was under an OOPA agreement, but was removed because no one lives there. And there was a other OOPA account under his name at a different property, 7550 Brockton Street. The city has submitted in its exhibit packet a recent water bill demonstrating no water usage at the property, and a $20,000 water debt. No water usage since at least November of 2020. There has also not been any recent payments on the account since 2019, I believe. Going back through the record. So the city would submit, since October 24th of 2019, the city would submit that there's been no evidence of good faith to demonstrate an interest and penalty waiver in any capacity. And we'd also submit that any impact of the pandemic would be after the payment of the last real estate tax, which again was October of 2019.
Okay, let us turn to the petitioner and ask him to present anything that he has on this matter that we should consider in the process. And we may have some questions, as the city may.
Yes, I was on the payment plan for 5901 Lansdowne. I was making payments every month. I was fixing the property up, yes. And I was paying. I added my son onto the deed. Then the city told me they knocked me off my payment plan because I added someone to the deed. I didn't know adding someone to the deed and knocked me off my payment plan.
Have you made any payments since that happened?
No, I was trying to get back on another payment plan, so I haven't made the payment since.
But you've made no payments at all since that. When did that happen?
About a year and a half ago, going on 2 years.
And that's the sum total of what you have to tell us about?
Excuse me, ma'am?
That is your only thing that you have to tell us about? There's no other information you want to provide about your position whether you'd be able to make payments going forward if
Oh,
you
yeah,
were
I can make- yeah,
reinstated,
yeah, yeah.
anything else that you can tell
Oh,
us.
yeah, I like to be reinstated and continue making payments. But that's what I came down here for.
At the same level they were before, or what is your situation?
Same level was before, yes.
Anything else you want to add before we turn back to the city?
I know you mentioned something about 7550 Brockton Road. That's just another property I own, but I'm not here for that property.
Right, but under the kind of program that you're talking about here,
Yeah,
you
I
could
like to get
only
it-
have
yeah, I
one
like to-
place, and do you actually live at this property?
Well, right now I'm living with my girlfriend, but I'm still renovating to move back in. I had to do some more plumbing renovations for it, but yes, I am moving back into the property.
Well, you understand that this type of program requires that you actually live in the property?
Well, all my possessions and stuff in there, I just had to do some repairs, yes. I mean, all my belongings is in there, like furniture, TVs, everything is in there.
All right, Ed, do any of my fellow board members have questions for the petitioner?
I'm going to wait till after the city has put on its case.
Okay. George, do you have any questions
Me
at this
too,
time?
me too. I'll wait for the city for that.
Okay, fine. Then let's turn to the city and have you provide any information that we should have from your perspective.
Yes, aside from what I just originally presented, I would just reemphasize that this is an interest and penalty application. This is not an OOPA. He does not qualify for an OOPA since he doesn't live there. He was removed from the OOPA because he doesn't live here. So that his argument is kind of strictly confined to whether or not he should be in the program. The city's trying to going through whether the qualifications of how you would have an interest and penalty waiver, and the city is
Can I
not.
just interrupt you for just a second?
Yes,
Was
of
the
course.
$59 payments he was talking about, was that the OOPA that was discontinued?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So the city's looking for evidence of good faith. We would look for recent payments or something to indicate that a change of circumstances has occurred. The city hasn't seen any of that. It seems like we're just, and looking at the docket here, he's failed to appear on several of these IMPs, which is why we're at the board level as well. So the city, since he's been kicked out of the OOPA properly, the city has seen no evidence of good faith.
Turning back to the petitioner, do you have anything to add from your perspective now that you've heard the city's position?
Well, I've been putting in documents to get back onto the program, but they referred me over here. But I mean, I wanted to make a payment, but I didn't know when I went down to City Hall to make the payment, they referred me over here. I didn't know how much to make or what to make, so they told me to come over here and put a petition in.
Do you understand that the city is saying that you're no longer in that OOPA program and you're not getting back into it at this point, that what you're dealing with is an interest and penalty?
I mean, yeah. If I get help
Matter-
with the interest and penalties, that'll be great too. I can start making payments again.
Mr. Tillman, when did you purchase this property?
It was in the year, I think it was 2019. Around there.
And how much did you pay for it?
The property was about 8,500 to 9,000. I don't have the paperwork in front of me.
And how many properties do you own?
2.
And when you purchased this property, were you aware of the outstanding tax balance? This goes back to 1987.
No, I wasn't aware of it when I first purchased it. No, ma'am.
Who did you purchase it from?
It was just a gentleman I knew from the area was selling his property, but he got real sick.
So you purchased it from an individual?
Yes, ma'am.
And where do you live?
Right now, I live in Upper Darby.
Upper Dar, okay. And what is the circumstance of the other property that you own?
That property there. That property there is vacant. The property is vacant right now. There's a mortgage on there, but the mortgage is being paid.
And
My-
so your purpose with this current property is to renovate it. Have you ever lived there?
No, I never lived. I want to move there. I never lived there. I'm trying to move back in there.
If I may
Move
make, a
back in implies you were there before.
Say it again, ma'am.
When you said you wanted to move back in, and that implies that you lived there before, but you just said you haven't lived there before.
Well, I
I don't-
moved
I'm-
all
So
my
I'm
thi-
confused.
Oh, no, I moved all my things in there, but I want to live there. Yes, I want to live there. Yes. But I
But you
want to-
haven't lived there before.
No, not yet. No.
Okay, I was just confused by the
Okay,
terminology.
sorry. Okay, sorry about that.
may I make a suggestion?
Please.
I mean, it's the city's recommendation that if Mr. Tillman ends up renovating and moving back into the property, there's nothing to prevent him from submitting a new application. And depending on his income, would come with a certain level of interest and penalty waiver if he qualifies for it. At this point in time, though, the city's position is that he was appropriately removed from the OOPA and has not demonstrated any good faith as to why INP at this moment in time should be waived.
Any IMP waiver or just a total IMP waiver? I wasn't sure what you were referring to when you said that.
Zero, no, the
No,
city,
not, that is your
that's
recommendation.
my
Okay.
recommendation.
So if Mr. Tillman purchased the property, sir, you said in 2019,
Yes.
and he somehow was on an OOPA agreement, how many payments did he actually make? Marge, can you tell us like what was actually paid in 2019 before he stopped?
I actually can't get into the Prism or the tips. For some reason,
Okay.
my Ethernet isn't working in this room.
I can, yeah, I can share my screen if you want.
If you have it, that would be great.
Usually I start with that and we kind of did it a little differently. Let's see.
I did have it when we started the meeting,
But it's gone.
but it's gone. Like Houdini.
Let's see if he has any more success getting to it than you had.
Oh, here we go.
Thank you.
Okay, so these are well, I am confused as to the timeline of his purchase then if he says he bought it in 2019. So let me see when he was removed from the OOPA. That would be in 2018, it looks like he was put into the OOPA, although it
It was 18, I said 19. I made a mistake. Yeah, 18.
okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so it looks like in
Time passes.
August of 2018 is when he was entered into the program. So
Sorry, and he made payments until the agreement was ended by the city.
yeah, so if we go to August, maybe the note is inaccurate, but it looks like he was making payments throughout 2019. Pretty much every month.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is the board ready to step aside and see if you can make a decision?
I have one more question. Mr. Tillman, aside from being that this board is not going to have the authority to reinstate an OOPA agreement when you're not living in the property, if we were to make a determination that some kind of interest or penalty waiver might be appropriate, are you prepared to enter into a payment agreement and start making payments towards this tax liability?
Oh, yes, I am, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I'm ready.
Step aside then.
Okay, if everyone can just please hold tight, the board is gonna go into a breakout room. I'm just waiting for everybody to get back into the room. I see Ryan, Paula, George, just waiting for Nancy.
Nancy's lost again.
I feel like we lose her every time we do this.
And she left before me.
I know. Paula, can you please read the decision
All right.
into the record?
All right, we're going to go back on the record. The Tax Review Board has had the opportunity to discuss the case in front of us. Mr. Tillman, it's the decision of the Tax Review Board to abate half of the interest and all of the penalty on this account, provided that within 30 days of receiving the Tax Review Board decision letter, you enter into a payment agreement with the Department of Revenue. Should you fail to enter into that agreement, or should you enter into that agreement and fail to maintain it, the city will have the authority to reinstate all of the interest and penalty being abated today. You'll get a letter from the Tax Review Board with that decision in approximately 2 weeks, and it will be your responsibility to contact the Department of Revenue to enter into a payment agreement.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Also,
welcome.
if you disagree with the agreement, please note that you have 30 days to appeal it, as well as the city. And then can I get concurrence from all the board members?
Say it again.
Ryan, oh yeah, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
And Paula Weiss, I concur. Okay. Thank
All
you,
right.
Mr. Tillman.
All right, thank you.
Our next case is case number 1. I'm gonna go put them in the room. Have a seat, and the board will start talking to you right.
Now, is number 1 an OOPA?
Yes, I believe it is.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are OOPAs. Okay, I normally don't do OOPAs, that's why I'm asking.
All right, we lost Nancy for good.
She keeps on attempting to join the room, but she's not here. So Paula, can you just act as chair? We still have quorum.
All right, sure. Okay, we're going to turn to case number 1, James Fullwood, last 4 digits of the docket, 7929. Good afternoon, Mr. Fullwood. Could you please state your name for the record?
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah,
My name is Demetrius Forward.
And your relationship to the petitioner?
I am James Forward's son.
Okay, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth?
I do.
Okay, and do you have anything from your father giving you authorization to speak for him today?
I have his, I left the death certificate home, but I do have a death certificate. I don't have it on me, but I do have a death certificate. I have the deed to the home. And
Are you the
no,
property owner now?
I do have the death certificate. I'm sorry.
Okay, are you the property owner currently, or are you the
Well,
executor?
Well, actually, I was in the process of getting the property switched into my name. Unfortunately, I lost my job, and then the COVID situation happened. And so I'm currently looking for a new employment and trying to get everything switched over and make some payments on this account.
So let's start at the very beginning. What are you looking for from this board?
To give me an extension to take care of my back taxes for this property, for my property.
Mr. Scavuzzo, I'm going to turn to you to see where we are with the status of this.
Yes, it's Sam Scavuzzo for the city. Good afternoon, Mr. Fullwood. I will note at the beginning that this is an OOPA appeal, and he, when initially entered into the OOPA, was qualified as an equitable owner. So he has standing to be here.
Okay, thank you.
The equitable ownership will be an issue we talk about, but he certainly has standing and has been previously qualified as an equitable owner. So I'm going to Oh, please, go ahead.
I'd say, but the agreement is not active at the moment or has been discontinued.
Correct. He defaulted and has been removed from the program. And that is the basis of his appeal, is to be put back into his OOPA agreement.
Okay, so Mr. Fullwood, you're looking to be reinstated onto your agreement. Let me go back to Mr. Scavuzzo. What was the reason for the termination?
Sure. So this is originally as a outside counsel Linebarger OOPA. He hasn't made a payment since 2017. So failure to pay was the reason for being removed. There was a decision, a contingency payment in his favor granted at the master level of the tax review board, in which he failed to make it. So when that happened, he was denied, and he has subsequently appealed here. And an additional aspect of the denial, the contingency payment, was he had to take steps to put the property in his name, which is a condition of the program. And the city was going to ask if he has done steps to do that. It seems like he's already discussed that. So since there's been no payments since 2017, and he's already been given the opportunity to have the contingency payment, the city would recommend denying the application.
Okay, so back to you, Mr. Fullwood. Can you explain to us the reasons for the non-payment that caused you to, that caused the agreement to terminate, and where you stand now with regard to the ability to make payments, as well as steps necessary to place the property in your name?
Yes, I was ill. I was sick for a while. I started to get better, and then when I returned back to work, I'm in a legal situation with my job for my FMLA. So I lost my job, and I'm in the process of looking for another one as we speak. So if I can get an extension, I will make sure that this my account is paid, because I reside at this address.
That's what I was just going to ask. This is another board member, Nancy Camerodiner. Do you live at that property?
Yes, ma'am.
And for how long have you lived at that property?
For 18 years.
Oh, okay. So you're a long-term resident.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I guess before we go any further, for this, I'm going to turn back to the city. Can we get all the numbers that are due on this account?
Taxes due and owing. Excuse me. Let's share my
Does
screen.
Marge have those?
She does not, because it is an OOPA and not an interest and penalty.
I see. Okay.
This is 2218 Latona Street, taxes dating back to 2008 through current, for principal of $7,740.22, an interest of $2,718.89, penalty of $518.74, other liens and legal fees of $3,040.45 for total due and owing of $14,018.30. Yes, I read that. This originally was a tier 3 OOPA, which he had to pay $130 a month.
All right, Mr. Scavuzzo, do you want to question Mr. Fullwood or put on any more information?
Just to clarify, Mr. Fullwood, you'd said you're currently not working. Are you out on FMLA and not receiving income? Is that correct?
Well, that was the debate. They had put me out on FMLA, but then my job had switched ownership, and it was a dispute against was I eligible or not for, and I've been in my job for 6 years, and they said that I wasn't eligible because I had to be with the company more than a year. So with that being said, it was saying that I wasn't covered for my FMLA. So the company actually terminated me because of that.
And when was that?
It was September of 2019.
Okay. So you originally were removed from the program in 2017, or that was the last payment you made. Why were you not making payments between 2017 and 2019?
I was sick. I was actually out of work also. I have a chronic illness. I have a chronic illness, which is I have paperwork from my physician stating that I wasn't feeling well for probably like 2 or 3 months. So I was really out ill.
And are you currently working?
No, I'm not currently working at the present moment, but I am currently now looking for a job actively.
And you're not receiving any Social Security or anything like that?
I was receiving unemployment, but it ran out. I'm not receiving anything at the present moment.
So at this moment in time, you wouldn't, if you were put back in the $130 a month program, would you be able to afford that?
Yes.
After all these years, Mr. Scusa, would he need to reapply?
I mean, the board has the authority to put him back into the program, and if you would do that, he would be able to submit different income documents to show. And he always has the ability to show the city his income has changed to possibly change his
Right. To change the agreement.
name.
Do any of my fellow board members have questions?
Yeah, I have a question to him. Do you own any other property in the city of Philadelphia? Or this is the only one?
This is the only one.
Thank you.
And you live in this property, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you live alone?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you inherit the property from your father? Or
Yes, sir.
this is your father's property? So
Yep.
we haven't talked about that part of it. Have you taken any steps to try to put the property in your name?
Actually, I did. I went to City Hall. I paid the $200 and something to get the property switched over. I was making payments, and then the COVID happened, so everything shut down. So actually, I have to go back and start continue where I left off.
So what were you making? Do you know what office you were making payments to? and
It
what?
was City Hall. It was City Hall on the probate, taxes and probate department.
Okay. And do you have any documentation with you today?
I don't have that specific paper with me, no. But
It's okay if you don't have it. I just have another question for you. Do you remember you were here before and you were given a payment, a contingency payment? Do you remember that?
yes.
And so what happened to prevent you from making that contingency payment, which I believe was $1,000, $1,300? $1,278.
I lost my job. That's when I lost my job.
So when you were given the contingency payment, you had your job at that point in time.
Yes.
What kind of payment would the city be looking for
Can
now?
Brian?
Mr. Boyer?
Yes, I want to ask the taxpayer a question. Did you get any of the supplemental unemployment payments under COVID and some of the lump sum payments? And if you got those, why didn't you pay the contingency with that?
I didn't receive it. I didn't know anything about it. I just got regular unemployment.
The city generally would ask for a full year of taxes, which would be, this year's would be $1,375.88. If you had 90 days to pay that, Mr. Fullwood, would you be able to do that?
Yes, sir.
City would ask for his current year's taxes due. And to bring back the documentation you had referenced from the register, I believe the register of wills, but whatever you're referencing,
Yes.
to show that you're trying to put the property back in your name.
Yes.
Would the city also ask for monthly payment?
If he makes this payment, he would be entered back into his OOPA agreement in which he would be.
To the amount that was previously there, or some newly negotiated one based on current circumstances?
Yeah, at that point in time, it's a statutory matter. So if whatever documentation he brings in demonstrating income is whatever he'll be put into. It's not a negotiation.
I see. Okay.
Whatever his income is.
Any other questions? Mr. Scavuzzo, any other
No, ma'am.
information? And Mr. Fullwood, anything else you'd like to provide this board? Any other information for us?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Are we ready to have a discussion?
Okay,
Yes,
I'll
please.
put the board members into the room. Just hold tight, everyone.
All right. I assume Nancy is making her way back.
She's
But
in the verse. She's
got
somewhere.
everybody. All right. Got
Oh, there
Mr.
she is.
back. All right. You got Nancy coming in.
I made it back.
I'm going to finish this up then and turn it back to you. So,
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Fullwood,
Yes, ma'am.
board has considered the information provided by both you and city representatives, and it's our decision that we're going to give you 90 days to, number one, provide the documentation to the city that you are moving towards having that house, the deed to that house put into your name.
Yes,
That you
ma'am.
have the documentation and you are working to have the deed changed over. 90 days to make the payment of the current year taxes, which I believe from Mr. Scavuzzo are $1,375.88. Is Did I get that?
Yes.
90 days to make that contingency payment. If you fulfill both of those requirements, we will direct the city to reinstate the OOPA agreement for that property that you are currently living in.
Thank you so much.
Hold on, you're going to get a letter from the tax review board with that decision that will tell you everything that I just said, and then it will be up to you to be in contact with the Department of Revenue and the Law Department. I don't know, Mr. Scavuzzo, are you the person he would give the title documents to?
He can just bring them to his next hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
His next
Next
hearing?
hearing?
No,
Oh,
What next
because
hearing?
we're done.
he's not coming back to, I'm sorry.
Well, no.
Well, technically he has to because you gave him a contingency. So we have to come back and we have to show that he actually made the payment and that he actually did it before the date of the hearing. So it is a contingency.
All right, but we want him to be able to provide those documents before the
Correct.
90 days. So,
Okay. Yeah. The city would request then that language to provide Lisa Bender's contact information,
Okay.
similar to a granting letter.
Okay.
all right, so we're giving you 90 days where our letter will direct you to the appropriate people to be in contact with in order to make the contingency payment, as well as provide the documentation that you are moving towards having that house placed in your name, having the deed changed from your father. And at that point, once those contingencies are met, the board has agreed that your OOPA agreement may be reinstated. So can I get concurrence from my fellow board members?
Nancy
George
Cameron
Matthews, I
concurs.
concur.
Ryan Boyer concurs.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Fullwood?
Oh, ma'am. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. I think that concludes the business for your case for today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good
Okay,
luck.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just run out and see if there's, if case number 2 is here, and then if not, we can call it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, there is no one else in our waiting room, and our virtual waiting room is also empty at this time.
Okay. Let me ask the city first if they have any information about Bryant Burrows, last 4 digits of the docket 7741, that might indicate a reason for them not being present today. Has it been resolved, or where does it stand from the city's perspective?
Sam Scavuzzo for the City Law Department. The city has not received correspondences from the applicant. The city would point to the case history is showing multiple continuances in the past and request that this be denied and no rehearings granted.
Okay, thank you. Does our office have any information about this that might go counter to that, or would you agree that there have been prior continuances that haven't led to any resolutions?
That is correct. In fact, the board at the last hearing in May of 2021 gave the petitioner 90 days to make a payment I'm not really sure, just continued the case for 90 days and nothing. So I apologize. There was just nothing. It was just a continuance that we granted.
Is this a rehearing? What's this? It's a result of a rehearing request? That's what the petition says on top.
Yes, actually, the petitioner came in about 5 minutes after we had the hearing. And then we noted no further continuances back in November of 2020. Then we scheduled him again for May, and then it was continued, though there is no reason why. And then it was scheduled for today.
So I would suggest we mark this denied for failure to appear with no further hearings.
I concur with that.
I
I
concur.
concur.
Okay, so that sounds like we have a decision of the board to deny this for failure to appear with no further rehearings. And
Thank you.
that being the last item on our agenda, unless there's something that a board member wants to bring up that is not on today's agenda. And hearing no one raise anything, this hearing is adjourned.
Bye, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Bye,
See you
everyone.
next
Have a
Thanks, you
good
too.
weekend.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.